This video is 5.3 and it's about rate of change. And just so that, let me make this bigger, just so that you are aware, rate of change is a key concept in algebra and higher level math courses, especially in high school. It's expressed in many different ways, and the most basic and probably fundamental way is how we look at slope. We look at it as a rate of change, which is kind of strange when you first encounter it. So let's look at the definition of it first. Rate of change is a ratio. Remember, a ratio is also a fraction. So we're going to be dealing a lot with fraction. It's a fraction that shows one variable changes with respect to another. It's a mouthful, okay? And all it means that it's a fraction. And in the case of the fraction, we're going to have two things. We're going to have an A and a B, a numerator and a denominator. So ratio equals A over B. And if A changes, the entire ratio changes, right? If 1 over 4 is my first ratio, if I change A into 3, 3 over 4 is a different ratio. So then the entire quantity changes. So it just says that it's a ratio, and ratio is a relationship. On a linear graph, this is called the slope. So this is really important. So the slope of a line, the slope of a mountain, that's always called, that's also a rate of change. So think about it. When I look at a mountain that's really steep, we say the slope is really steep, right? And that changes, as opposed to be a hill, a rolling hill, that's very mild slope. So that's a rate of change from the horizon, if you think about it that way. And ratio, so let's talk about slope. Slope is written as a ratio of the vertical change. And of the vertical change on the y-axis, we call that a rise. And then to the horizontal change, we call that a run. Between any 2 points, it has to be between any 2 points on the same line. And the rate of change, or the slope, remains constant, unchanged, the same for any 2 points on the same line. So if I were to look at from point A to point B, that slope is the same as from point B to point C, or point A to point C. So we're going to see how is that possible. Slope is written as a fraction. So fraction in simplest form. So a lot of cancellations. Use your calculators. It has to be canceled or reduced rather. And we use the small m as an expression of slope. Okay? So pause it and finish it and then come back. Now, let's look at what kind of slopes we have. We have 4 types. We have positive, we have negative slope, we have zero slope, we have undefined slope. And now I'm going to tell you a story. How do I remember this? When I first learned how to ski, I went to Japan on a trip, and there was a instructor, a coach, who was a former Olympian, and he taught me how to ski. So, and because I was accompanied by such a able skier, I was so excited climbing up the mountain. So I was, even though walking up the mountain in skis in the first time wasn't the easiest thing to do. I was very positive. I was very happy. So I was feeling very positive. So positive energy is positive. It's a plus sign, right? So going up the mountain, I was feeling positive. That is a positive slope. Now I started skiing, and that's when, if you call that skiing, Miss Birch practically rode down the hill. Notice that roll down. Down is negative. I was on my butt more often than on my skis. So that's a negative slope. So I rode down the hill until I hit the bottom, and I said, this is zero fun. It really wasn't fun. So until today, I don't really ski very much because I don't like the cold weather. I didn't have a great experience the couple of times I've skied. So I don't like it. This is zero fun when I'm on the bottom. However, I was smart enough not to go to the edge of the mountain, because if I fall off the mountain, I know that is death. This is death. So you don't ever want to fall off the mountain, right? Stay away from the edge of the mountain. So vertical line has a slope that's undefined. That's why I don't approach it. It's really disastrous. So that's how I remember my slope: positive, negative, zero, and undefined. And the calculation of it is, as we said earlier, is simply rise over run. Let's look at some examples. It's rise over run of any 2 points. So all we need to do is to find 2 points and find the rise and find the run. So let's look at the example here. Now the 2 points here are given. One is here, I'll call this point A, and I call this point B. Now I said to go from point A to point B, I need to rise. So rise, go up until I'm right at the same level as B. This is my rise, and if I were to count my rise, I have 4. So my slope equals rise over run equals 4 rise. Now run, notice my run, I have to go to the right. It's always positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive 5, right? When I rise, use a different color. When I rise this way is positive. When I run this way is positive. Left to right, it's positive. So my slope is 5 over 4. Let's look at the second example. If I label this as point A, point B, if I go up all the way to A, I'm all the way to B. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My rise is 6. My run is 1, 2, 3 to the right. And now I have 6 over 3. Remember to reduce that. Use your calculator. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Set it into a fraction mode. Now, number 3 gets a little tricky. This is my point A. This is my point B. I rise, right, by 2. So slope is 2. Always start from the lower point. It makes it easier because it goes up by 2. Then this time I go left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I go left. When I go left, it's negative. Go left is negative. So if I simplify that, it becomes 1/3. Next one, point A, point B. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 on rise. On run, I again go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That -7 over -4. Now, I want you to compare. If this were a mountain, 1 and 2 are uphill. Therefore, their slope is positive, right? 3 and 4 is when Miss Birch rolling downhill is negative. Okay, let's look at some more examples. Make this bigger. Vertical angles, that's when I said I don't go near it. Why? I said this is undefined. Why? Find 2 points on the line. Let's say find this point and this point. If I calculate the slope from point A, I rise by 1, 2, 3. But I don't run. When I don't run, that's 0. Any number divided by 0 is undefined. So this 0 determines that this is undefined. So there's a theory behind it that you can explain why things are the way they are, right? Now let's look at number 6. Point A, point B. Rise by this much. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rise by 4. Run to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So run by 8. I simplify it. It's 1/2. All right. So let me do a quick summary. Let's move this over. If you want to pay attention to the steps here when you calculate slope, step 1. So we're talking about how to calculate slope here. Step 1 is to find lower point to rise. Always start with the lower point so that you calculate the rise. Step 2, you have to rise to the second point, the higher point, the same level, right? If you want to write it down, you can say rise to the same level as the higher point. Step 3, run to the higher or second point. Okay, that's it. And then you simplify it. You reduce that fraction. So step 4 is reduce to simplest form. Then you're done. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to this as well. When you're run, because the reason that we pick the lower point is so that when we are going up on the coordinate, right? When we go up, rise is always positive. But when we run, it depends on if we go to the right, that's positive. If we go to the left, that's negative. So you want to pay attention to that. Okay? Pause the video and finish copying that down. And then I want you to finish everything on this sheet. I will give the answer key here. The only thing that I want to demonstrate quickly is this special case in number 10. Pick any point, any 2 points. In this case, there's no lower or a higher point. Guess what? You still rise, except that now your rise is 0. And your run can be anything. Your run in my example is 3. So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a horizontal point. This is where Miss Birch had 0 fun on the flat part at the bottom of the mountain, right? So the slope in this case is what am I talking about? It's 0. So that's it, guys. These are not hard. Finish the rest of it, and then I will see if you did it right, and I'll write the answer key here as well. So this is 2, 3. So 3 over negative 4. This one is over 10, which gives me 2 over 5. That's it. And make sure you submit it back to me. Thank you, guys.